Oh, are you 100% sure of that now? Would you actually swear to it in court? There you go, high tech at its best. Well, I've got two stories for you about when I was wrong, and I would have, before I was proved wrong, I would have sworn blind in a court that I was right. So the first time, it's in the early 90s. I'm doing hospital DJ in St. James's Hospital. Little did I know both my parents would pass away in that hospital. But there I was, on my way to do a show at a weekend. And God, I was bad at the time. I mean, I was miserable. I was depressed. I know I was dumped. And it was one of those, you know when you get dumped and it's a really bad one, a one you think you'll never get over. But of course, time, you do get over it and you end up laughing about it. But it wasn't funny back then, as I made my dishevelled way down Thomas Street, Dublin 8, to go to do my little show. There were certain songs you couldn't play, like in hospital radio. Died in Your Arms Tonight, and Going On Up to the Spirit in the Sky, just to name a few. But anyway, I digress. I'm walking along, you know. I think I was unemployed at the time as well. I was bad. And I'm miserable and going down Thomas Street, and next minute this car comes shooting out, going every which way, swerving in and out of traffic, and it smashes into a row of cars. It damaged about 6 cars. Wallop, sliding all over the place, and this guy gets out with a big head on him, like a bowling ball, like a bag full of maggots, rough looking, tats everywhere, you know, the wife beater's vest on, and kind of legs it. So, being model citizen number 1 and having no more excitement in my life, I just kind of loitered about because I knew the cops would arrive. And when they arrived, I offered my witness statement along with a few other bystanders that had been there. Thought no more about it, went home to my little grief hole. It was an apartment, loosely termed, a flat in Sandy Cove of all places. And I was there and getting on with my life, ordering my McDonald's. And anyway, about a couple of weeks later, this Garda with the big jug ears, farm boy ears on him, arrives at the door and says, "Are you a witness to an accident that happened?" That sounds kind of Caribbean, really, doesn't it? Anyway, he basically said, hey, you should get one of these. It's like a head scratcher. Really, really therapeutic. I digress. So he says to me, you were due in court now. You offered a witness statement and we need you there. And of course, I'm like not good at the time and too many Charles Bronson movies. And I'm picturing myself getting either a brick through the window at some point or a bottle in the face, or indeed the aforementioned face being introduced to somebody's knee down a dark alley because I was just windy. I said, I don't need this in my life just now. I've been dumped. I don't have a job. Now you're getting me in front of a court and God knows who I'm going to meet, you know. Guard says to me, "Shut up. You will be summoned if you don't appear in court on such and such a day." So I said, "Oh, whatever." Right. So I end up down the quays into court at a certain point. And I notice, hey, I'm not just the only one. Overzealous Gardaí. There was about like 25 witnesses that all showed up. Then the defendant is led in. Guess what? I didn't recognise him. I mean, a few weeks ago, I would have said, "I'll swear in court, I saw this guy. I thought I saw him." Now, unless the guards had got the wrong man, this is a totally different bloke in front of me. And I'm going, God, I could have convicted somebody that was totally innocent. But this guy, this isn't the guy I saw hopping out of the car. So anyway, lesson learned. Don't swear on anything or anybody for that matter. The next time was only recently, and this was proved to me. So I'm chatting to this guy. He's a lovely bloke. If he's watching, he knows who he is. And he works for the BBC. And in the course of the conversation, I said to him, "Remember like Desert Island Discs?" Because I'm a big fan of Desert Island Discs. He says, "Of course I do." And I said, "Yeah, I mean, that thing's been around since 1942. I'll tell you one thing," I said to him. He says, what's that? I said, well, remember, Gary Glitter and Jimmy Savile? Obviously, their Desert Island Discs shows have been pulled by the Beeb in the interests of good order. And we're not going to represent reprobates on our show kind of thing. I said, but they didn't figure on the Marco, because I have this extensive kind of audio library of all kinds of things. And guess what I found there? What's that, says the guy. I said, well, I actually have the Jimmy Savile Desert Island Discs, and there's a little girl with him right throughout the show. I said, it's absolutely outrageous. You don't hear about this, but I have that show, blah, blah, blah. But I've never really talked about it because I would, expect that child has grown up now and you don't want any publicity. He said, God, that's amazing. I said, yeah, I have it. And I have it. Nobody else does. Then I went for a walk that evening and I said, you know what, Marco? That's got to be in the public domain anyway, So sure enough, I picked up my little phone here. And I'm out walking in the sun. Jimmy Savile. So straight away from early 1980s comes up Desert Island Discs. And I'm listening to himself. So I'm listening for the child. But I don't hear the child. And as you know, the format of the show is 8 tracks from your life. So there's a voice link between each track where he, in this case, was talking to Roy Plumley, former presenter, Desert Island Discs, and indeed the founder of it. Can't hear the child at all. Until it gets into about the 5th link. And there is this little girl in the studio with this vile, frickin', as we all know, devil, Jimmy Savile. Now, she was there, and it is in the public domain, so I don't feel too guilty about saying all this. It was kind of outrageous, because it was almost like he was taunting people. But, in fairness, the child features in one kind of few-minute segment. That's it. Whereas I was saying to the guy who was indulging me, God love him, listening to me, his ears were bleeding, I don't get out much. I was saying to him, she's there right throughout the show. No, she wasn't. She was there for about 2 or 3 minutes max. So, don't always be prepared just to swear on anything. Any more news from my life? No, I'm waiting on a new television. I want a nice OLED job. But I think certain electrical company has let me down because I disconnected my TV this morning. It's now coming up to 4:45. There's no sign of it. There's a little studio TV I have here. I'm thinking of giving myself a boy toy. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I might give myself a little early birthday present. How about a little OLED TV in here? Maybe 42-inch, something like that. Sun. I'm due some sun, but I don't know if the Mediterranean's going to exist in 24 hours. So I am due out to the sun in a few days' time. A week or two's time. Anyway, look, I don't know. Do you like and subscribe? I don't know what you do. Do you even like my rotten coffee mornings? As I said, I just don't get out much.